Hello, everyone, and welcome to Future Vision with Tariq. I'm your host, Tariq, and today is Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. Today we are tracking about Today we are talking about topics that affect all of us. How to set achievable goals and stay motivated. We all have dreams and ambitious, but many people struggle to turn those dreams into reality. Joining us today is our special guest, ChatGPT. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tariq. Glad to be back on the show.
Let's
This is a big
start.
one.
So
I'm ready.
let's
Let's dive in.
start with a simple question: why do so many people fail to achieve their goals?
Honestly, it usually comes down to the gap. People set goals based on where they want to be, but they don't actually plan for the person they are right now. They aim for the mountaintop, but forget that the first step is just putting on the shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so what makes a goal achievable?
It's all about the how, not just the what. A goal becomes achievable when it's stripped of the fluff and turned into something you can actually track. I'm talking about breaking that big, scary mountain into small, boring steps that you can't possibly fail at. If the goal is too vague, like get fit, it's just a wish. But walk for 10 minutes today, that's a win you can actually check off. That's the secret sauce.
That sounds much more practical. Why is breaking big goal into smaller steps so important?
Because it hacks your brain. When you look at a massive goal, your brain often sees it as a threat or a chore, and that's where the procrastination kicks in. But a small step, that's easy. When you hit that first tiny win, you get a hit of dopamine. That's the fuel that actually keeps you moving to the next step. It's way easier to keep going when you feel like you're already winning.
Many people start with enthusiasm but lose motivation after a few weeks. Why does that happen?
Because enthusiasm is a feeling and feelings are unreliable. It's like that initial rush when you start a new hobby, everything is exciting for a week, and then the actual work kicks in. Most people rely on that spark to get them moving, but the spark eventually dies out. When the excitement fades and the routine gets boring, if you don't have a system in place, you just stop. You can't build a house on a feeling, you need a foundation.
That's an interesting point. So, discipline can be more reliable than motivation.
100%. Motivation's like the appetizer that gets you in the door, but discipline is the main course. It's what shows up on the days you're tired, the days you're bored, or the days you just aren't feeling it. Discipline is basically just making a deal with yourself and actually sticking to it regardless of your mood.
What role does writing down goals play in achieving them?
It turns a thought into a contract. When it's just in your head, it's easy to ignore or move the goalposts. But once it's on paper, it's out there in the real world. It's a visual reminder that keeps you honest. Plus, there's something weirdly satisfying about actually crossing something off a list. It's like a little trophy for your brain.
How important is tracking progress?
It's everything. If you're just running blindly, you have no idea if you're actually getting closer to the finish line or just running in circles. Tracking your progress gives you a map and a mirror, shows you exactly where you're crushing it and where you're hitting a wall so you can pivot before you burn out. Without it, you're just guessing.
Sometimes people become discouraged after experience setback. What advice would you give them?
First off, you've got to stop looking at a setback as a sign to quit. It's more like a data point. When something goes wrong, it's just the universe telling you that the current method isn't working. The mistake people make is taking it personally. Instead of saying, I failed, say, this approach failed. That shift in perspective makes it a problem to solve rather than a reason to give up. Just zoom out, adjust the plan, and get back in the game.
Comparison can also affect motivation. Many people compare themselves with others in social media. How can they avoid that trap?
Social media is basically a highlight reel. You're comparing your behind the scenes, the messy parts, the struggles, the bad hair days with someone else's curated best moments. It's a rigged game. The only way to win is to stop playing. The only real benchmark is who you were yesterday. If you're just 1% better than that version of yourself, you're actually winning.
Are rewards helpful in meaningful motivation, in maintaining motivation?
They definitely are, but only if you play it right. If you reward yourself too early or too often, you can actually trick your brain into thinking you've already won, which kills the drive to finish the job. But a well timed reward, that's like a recharge station. It tells your brain that the effort was worth it, which makes you more likely to do it again. It's all about rewarding the habit, not just the result.
So it's about a habit. What daily habits can help people stay focused on their goals?
Start with a win early in the morning. Even if it's just making the bed or 5 minutes of stretching, it sets the tone that you're the one in control of the day. Then I'd say a top three list. Don't write a list of 20 things. That's just a recipe for stress. Uh, just pick three non negotiables that actually move the needle. If you hit those, the day's a success. Everything else is just a bonus. You know what I'm saying?
If you could give just one piece of advice to someone who wants to achieve an important goal, what would it be?
Just start before you feel ready. Um, Most people wait for the perfect moment or until they feel totally prepared, but that moment doesn't exist. The real the real clarity comes from the doing, not the planning. Just take that one tiny boring first step today and let the momentum do the heavy lifting for you.
That's excellent advice. Before we finish, could you summarize the key points we've discussed today?
For sure. Let's wrap this up with the big takeaways. First, stop aiming for the mountaintop and start with the shoes. Break big goals into tiny, trackable wins to hack your brain's dopamine. Second, don't trust your feelings. Enthusiasm is just the appetizer, but discipline is the main course that keeps you going when things get boring. Third, treat setbacks as data, not failures, and stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's social media highlight reel. And finally, just start before you're ready because momentum is the real secret sauce.
Thank you for sharing these valuable insights with us today. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners for joining us. Remember, every great achievement being with a single step. Set meaningful goals, stay committed, and keep moving forward. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace out, Tariq. That was a killer episode. Great flow. Catch you next time.
Catch up later.